What if the secret to running a top 1% law firm was as simple as knowing 3 numbers about your practice? The reason most law firms struggle isn't that they don't do great legal work, it's because they're focused on the wrong things. They're focused on vanity metrics like billable hours or the number of cases that they get instead of the fundamentals. And let me tell you, if you don't know these fundamental numbers, there's a good chance that your law firm is going to go out of business because you're going to run out of cash. Now, I was guilty of this for a long time in my business too. I was frustrated and I didn't know where my money was going. And it was because I didn't have a good grip on my business. Now, I knew that I had to do something, so I reached out to a mentor who had built a very successful business of his own for some advice. And he told me, Andy, you're asking the wrong questions. The only 3 things you need to pay attention to in your business are not revenue and they're not profits, but it's 3 simple numbers that will tell you exactly how your business is going and if things are going well and if you're in danger. I looked at him kind of with a blank stare and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, Andy, without data, you're just an idiot with an opinion. So that day I decided that I was no longer going to be just an idiot with an opinion, I was gonna actually have data. And once I learned how to use these numbers, it absolutely changed everything in my business. And today I wanna show you how these same lessons apply to your law firm so you can make a much bigger profit and ultimately have a more solid grip on the fundamentals of your firm. And it's gonna allow you to be way more profitable, way more successful, and it's gonna allow you to make better decisions as to the growth of your practice. So what are these 3 simple numbers that can change everything? Well, I'll reveal the first 2 in a second, but first, you have to understand how they work together. You have to think of it kind of like pieces of a puzzle. If you're missing even one piece, you'll never see the full picture. So here's an example using my supplement company. It's a perfect example of this. Now, I know you're running a law firm and not a supplement company, but both are businesses and the fundamentals are the same. So when we first started, we were running Facebook and Instagram ads to get our customers. And the first number we had to deal with was our cost to acquire a customer, or our CAC. It was about $75. Now the second number that we had to pay attention to was our average order value, and the problem was it was only $37. And that's a huge problem because we were literally losing money on the front end of every single transaction. And this is the exact same problem that many law firm owners face with their cost to acquire a client from paid ads. Their cost to acquire a client is higher than the initial retainer that they pay. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you just stop running ads? Well, it's because there was a third number to consider, and it's the most powerful one. That's the lifetime customer value. When we first started, we didn't know what this number was, but we now know that the average lifetime value of a customer from my supplement company is about $200. That means that a customer who buys something from us will, on average, spend about $200 over their lifetime. So with these numbers, our average order value of $37 and our cost to acquire a customer of $75, even though we're losing money on the front end, we knew that we'd eventually make it up on the back end. But let's be honest, that's not a luxury that many companies have. And even if you have that luxury, you may run out of money before you can collect the full $200. For us, it takes about a year to collect that full amount. And if we don't have runway to support that, then we're gonna run into a big problem. So how did we fix this problem? Well, I'll show you exactly how in a second, but first you need to understand that it all comes down to making a better offer. We had 2 choices. We could either lower our cost to acquire a customer or increase our average order value. Now, I believe it's easier to increase your average order value than it is to reduce your cost to acquire a customer. That doesn't mean you can't do both, but for an immediate effect, I started looking at how could I increase the average order value so that people were spending more money and we could get over this $75 barrier. So how did I increase our average order value for my supplement company? Well, I'm gonna walk you through it step by step, but you have to understand that this one change was the difference between a failing business and a profitable one. So I played around with a few things, and by doing this, I was able to get our average order value up from $37 to $125. That meant that we went from losing about $40 per bottle to making about $50 per bottle. And it also increased our lifetime customer value. Now, there was a couple steps that I took, and I'm going to show you how these apply to your law firm in a few minutes, but it all revolved around one principle: creating a better offer. So for a personal injury firm where you don't get paid up front, your average case value is likely going to be high, but it takes a long time to actually get paid. So what you could do in this instance is you could offer a separate fee-based service like estate planning or a trust to your clients while their case is pending. For a criminal defense attorney, instead of charging your standard retainer, you could offer a higher priced case package that includes a more experienced attorney or additional services like anger management, or if it's a DUI, you could offer DMV hearing representation, offer a single comprehensive fee that is higher than your normal fee. If you're a family law attorney, you could bundle the divorce filing with related services like drafting a new will, a new trust, or child custody arrangements for one combined price. So to do this, the question that you always have to ask is, what problems do they have before they need my product or service? What are the problems that they have after they need my product or service? And what problems do they have as a result of buying my product or service? All problems have solutions, and all solutions create new problems. For example, let's say a client comes to you with a divorce settlement. You file the legal paperwork and you get the outcome that they're looking for. So you solved that problem, you got them the divorce. But now that you've helped them with their divorce, they have all kinds of new problems that they didn't have before. They need to update their will, they need to set up a new trust, they need to figure out child custody arrangements, maybe their kids need therapy. There's all kinds of problems that they didn't have before that now they have. And these are all problems that were caused by the solution to their original problem. So if you can think about that, you'll be able to create upsells and enhance your offer. Now, another thing to think about is, how can I add to my offer elements that will reduce the time that it takes for them to get the outcome that they're looking for? And also, how can I reduce the amount of work that it takes to get them the outcome that they're looking for? These are all ways that you can add to your offer to increase your average order value. And the great thing is that the higher your average order value, or your lifetime customer value, the more you can afford to spend. Because there's a rule in marketing that says whoever is willing and able to spend the most to acquire a customer will always win. So how do you create a better offer? Well, with my supplement company, we originally sold one product. It was a single bottle for $37. When that's your only offer, the most you can make is $37. And this seems obvious now, but it wasn't to me at the time. So I decided to introduce a multi-bottle offer. To do this, I immediately raised the price on a single bottle of our supplement from $37 all the way up to $59. Then I introduced two other price points, a 5-bottle offer and a 3-bottle offer. The 5-bottle offer was the one that I wanted to sell the most of, so I made that $199, which prices it at about $40 per bottle, which is actually $3 more per bottle than what I was originally selling the bottles for anyway. Now, doing these very simple things allowed me to increase our average order value by nearly $90, which is pretty crazy, right? And that's the difference between having a losing product and a product that's actually making money on the front end. Now that business does millions of dollars per year, and it's all based on this one pricing structure that we have. Now, that's just for a supplement company, but there's lots of other ways that you can increase value as a law firm owner as well. All you have to do is look at your offer. One of the things I love doing is asking myself a question. If I raised my prices by 10 times, how could I provide so much value that it would be stupid for the person not to say yes to that offer, even though my prices are 10 times higher than they are right now? I do a brainstorming session where I literally write down every single thing I can think of that would justify me charging 10 times what I'm charging right now. And a lot of times what's gonna happen is you're gonna come up with a lot of ridiculous things that won't work. But eventually what's gonna happen is you're gonna look at that list and you're gonna say, well, I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this, but I could do this. And I could potentially do this, and I can't do this way, but I might be able to do it a different way. And when you actually look at those things, then you come up with better ideas and other ways to improve your offer. By doing this, you're able to increase your lifetime customer value. So by paying attention to my cost to acquire a customer and my average order value, and understanding the importance of my lifetime customer value, I was able to identify that my cost to acquire a customer was actually way more expensive than my average order value. I was able to fix that by making an irresistible offer. And that allowed me to make this business very, very profitable. The same principle holds true to your law firm. By paying attention to your firm's cost to acquire a client and your average case value, you can make your law firm very, very profitable.